Your Holiness, we have recently visited Tezu and Mio settlements, which you have also visited, and we are proposing to visit Tenzinggang settlements. Could you tell us a little bit about the settlements, their isolation, and what you feel the priorities are in those settlements?
Yes, those three settlements in Arunachal State, physically quite far, and then also in order to visit this area, you need some special permission. So therefore, usually the volunteer people could not reach these places. So as a result, they usually receive less sort of help. But other hand, the Tizu quite hot. Otherwise, the first land is very good. And then Meo seems, again, I think the land is very good. There is potential. And then people, Tibetan settlers, are very nice people. If we provide them as an instrument, facilities, I think they can use, I think, properly. They can develop this settlement. So I'm very happy. You had the opportunity to visit this place, and you are thinking some help to them. Very, very good. Most welcome.
And we have to tell you that we received the money from the lottery, which is an organisation in Great Britain, which the British people have put money into to win money, and we rewarded that grant. So we are going to inform them that we've spoken to you.
Very good. Very good.
And so we still have Tenzinggang, which we haven't visited, but we are hoping to. Could you tell us a little bit about Tenzinggang, which is even more isolated, I understand, and you have visited?
Tenzinggang, of course, in Tenzinggang, there is one big historic monastery, usually we call Tantric College. Then, I think right from the beginning, people in that settlement, comparatively, I think a little better, but at the same time, that also, as I mentioned earlier, in that Arunachal State, so they receive less help, so we need more effort. Then also some local family, local people, they offered us some land, but because of the lack of facility, we did not use these land. That's now I think more than now 2 years I think passed. There are in this area another I think problem is water problem for agriculture. During monsoon, too much rain. Before and end monsoon, very dry. So the water problem there, I noticed in Meo settlement. And Tenzinggang, I think, no, the Tizu, I think, a little better.
Yes.
The Tenzinggang also now is the problem of the water. But my last visit, you see, they are, they have some scheme for planting some fruit trees. So that's the, I think, the background, brief background.
And so they need water, and also do they need health facilities as well?
Oh yes, of course.
Everything. And we thank you very much. We would like to ask about fundraising priorities in the future, and where you think our money from Tibet Relief Fund and generally the money should go in the settlements in India, or what are your views about money to go into Tibet?
In Tibet also we need, I think, some help in Tibet in the field of education and health, particularly in the rural area. I think very necessary, very neat. Going to be very, very helpful.
Yes.
Usually it's those areas where more Chinese settlers, then facility of health as well as the education, although expensive, better because of the Chinese settlers. In those areas, the less Chinese settler, and some area no Chinese, then the facility very, very poor, very poor. So, of course, the Tibetan refugee community outside, mainly in India, and also in Nepal, and some is in Bhutan also. But the majority or main the refugee community is in India. Major settlement also is in India. In these settlement also, generally our situation is quite satisfactory, but still in some pocket, still you see we need some help.
We understand. Okay. Your Holiness, I'd like to move on to the 40th anniversary. And as you know, the Society was founded in June 1959. And we first of all like to ask what your feelings are after 40 years in exile.
Anyway, 40 years, quite long. I think according one individual life, then 40 years, quite long. My own case, when I firstly become refugee, then my age 24, now 65. So major part of my life remain as a refugee. I think we refugee community, Tibetan refugee community, eventually become one of the most successful refugee community. And beside our own sort of livelihood, we did a lot of work for education and also the preservation of Tibetan culture, Tibetan spirituality, and definitely Tibetan the way of life.
Yes.
I think now second generations now is coming up, they still remain very fresh in their mind, this Tibetan spirit.
Yes.
And also education standard. Refugee communities, children's education is better than children inside Tibet today. So these, I think, they are achievement. And these, of course, these achievement only is possible because of government of India's help, as well as many volunteer agencies, including the Tibet Society. You did a lot. So we always feel deep sort of appreciation or gratitude to all those concerned, governments as well as the organizations, some individuals also. So we very, very grateful. And your society, the British Tibet Society, right from the beginning, very, very active, particularly in the field of political field. So very helpful, very helpful. Because we are the political refugee. We came to India not because of nature disaster or something like that. No, some different reasons. And then the people of Tibet, inside Tibet, they are very much trust on us, relying on us,
Yes.
looking on us. So we have moral responsibility to carry our sort of freedom struggle. So the societies or individuals who are helping in that field, we very much appreciate.
Your Holiness, may I ask you, have you observed changes in the Chinese government attitude to Tibet in the last year or so?
You know, my middle-wave approach, now more than 20 years, this is my sort of position or way of thinking or way of approach to solve this problem. I'm not seeking independence. The Tibetan history, about past, that's up to historian and legal expert. This is not a political decision. I'm looking forward to future. So future is concerned, I'm trying to find some kind of mutually agreeable solution. Now the outside world very, very supportive about that proposal or that approach. And now I think very good sign is among the Chinese intellectuals and writers, thinkers, at least those who know some awareness about the Tibet problem. So now they are showing their solidarity and their support about this proposal. So this is, I think, very, very encouraging. Now the government level, in recent time, now since beginning of this year, there seems some positive indication, as President Jiang Zemin is acknowledged the informal contact through some informal channel, private channels. Some channel seems to see, becoming more smooth. But then unfortunately, now last about 3 months, since then, the confusing signal from the Chinese government side. Now it become quite clear the Chinese government overall attitude, overall policy regarding the democratic movement or these things seems hardened. So I think with that overall policy, I think that their attitude towards me or towards the Tibetan issue seems a little bit confusing. But and then inside Tibet, now situation is becoming more tense, more very, very rigid sort of control. And with that, violation of human rights, these things, of course, some cases even worse. But inside that, my position will change. I'm still fully committed about my middle-wave approach. So I believe the current Chinese government in Tibet will not help to solve the problem or to achieve the goal which Chinese government is very much a concern. That is very much priority. That is stability and unity. And stability and unity by force is not proper, not sort of not genuine. So some kind of suppress. More suppression, more resentment. So that's the more causing for future problem. So the best way to achieve genuine stability and unity is, I believe, my middle-wave approach. I'm not seeking separation. So I'm not splittist. Then meantime, I also is fighting for our own basic right. The genuine, meaningful self-rule. That's actually when Chairman Mao was there. The 7-point agreement actually is that agreement signed under duress. But still, we can say that 7-point agreement is something like, I think the one country, two system. I think very much in that spirit. And the Chinese constitution is to provide those the national, ethnic groups, nationalities, you see the autonomous region, autonomous district, autonomous county, things like that. So now what we are seeking is, we want genuine autonomy, genuine sort of self-rule, which is best guarantee for preservation of Tibetan culture, Tibetan environment, and Tibetan Buddhism or Tibetan spirituality, which is not only interest for 6 million Tibetan people, but also the several million of people in this part of the world who traditionally practice or follow Tibetan Buddhism, like Mongolia or Bhutan or this area. And then particularly, I think most important, I feel, among the Chinese, traditionally, the Tibetan Buddhists, there are many Chinese who follow Tibetan Buddhism, traditionally. So now today also, we found some young Chinese showing genuine interest about Tibetan Buddhism. So therefore, the preservation of Tibetan Buddhism or Tibetan culture, Buddhist culture, is not only interest for 6 million Tibetan people, but also interest for the larger community in this part of the world. So therefore, I'm seeking genuine self-rule. So through that way, Tibetan will get some kind of satisfaction. To the Chinese government, the more satisfaction among Tibetan mind, that can be, I think, very important basis for development of genuine stability and unity, which Chinese government thinks most important. So indirectly, I feel, I'm helping to achieve the goal which Chinese government, trying to achieve stability and unity. Once the Tibetan problem solved, properly, satisfactorily, reasonably, then it can be, I think, very important signal to the Taiwanese and also some other, the autonomous region. So that's the up-to-date situation.
Thank you.
Yes.
We want to record a special message for the Tibet Society members, and we will be using this video so I'm just going to ask you a few questions about Tibet Society. Your Holiness, you have many friends in the UK, including Hugh Richardson, Robert Ford and Lord Wetherell. Are you happy with the work of the Tibet Society and Tibet Relief Fund in the last 40 years, and what are your reflections?
Oh, very much so. Of course, as a matter of fact, Britain, historically, very close with Tibet, have some, contact. So I think among the Western nations, I think the Englishmen have the, best sort of the knowledge about the past Tibet. Now still, like Hugh Richardson, still alive. There's like now, like witness before 50, before 1949. What was Tibet? What kind of Tibet? And I think as a result, since '59, the many people who have some connection with Tibet in the past, they come forward, support us. They spoke about Tibet, about truth. So we always feel, deep sort of gratitude. Like Hugh Richardson, he wrote some books, and he often spoke about the status of Tibet in the past. So these very, very useful, very useful. So right from the beginning, the Tibet Society in Britain, very active in the political field, so very helpful, very helpful. And beside that, also she carries some material help, aid works in Tibetan community, refugee community, outside Tibet. Very, very grateful. So still, Tibetan issue, still not yet solved. I tried to find solution directly with Chinese government, now more than 20 years. Still, the problem not yet solved, still problem there. In some cases, some field, even worsening situation. So since my direct sort of effort, effort with the Chinese government, not solve the problem, so there's no other alternative except to appeal international community as a human brothers, sisters. So still, we need your support. And I always consider the Tibetan supporters is not necessarily as a pro-Tibetan, but rather pro-justice. So long humanity remain in this planet with, I think, man-made problem, the justice very, very important.